All right, what we're going to do is try to work with a quadratic in standard form without the calculator. I'm already assuming you know how to do that. Finding, graphing a calculator, finding a table of values, finding the max or min, zeros, y-intercept, all that needs to be able to, you need to be able to know how to do that with the calculator, no problem. All right, now if we were to give you a test or quiz without the calculator, these are some of the steps you're going to need to know how to do. What we're going to do is we've got an equation in standard form. I'm going to see if it can be factored. That way we can find the x-intercepts very easily. So we're going to have x squared minus 6x plus 8. And first thing I got to do is look at c, which is 8, and ask myself what are factors of 8 that can be combined to get negative 6. Okay, factors of 8 are 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. Right. Right away I know 1 and 8 cannot be combined to get negative 6, so that's gone. And I've got 2 and 4. All right. One of the patterns you need to start to recognize is that since our sign here is positive, all right, our sign for C is positive, meaning our factors will have the same sign as B, which is negative 6. So our factors are going to be negative 2 and negative 4. So our factored equation is going to be x minus 2 times x minus 4. Okay. Now the advantage to having an equation in standard form that can be factored is that finding the x-intercepts is very simple. Okay. It's going to be the opposite of the signs of our factors. Okay. And remember what x-intercepts means. X-intercept means where y is 0, or where your function is equal to 0. So all it is basically 0 equals x minus 2 times x minus 4. Okay, where is that going to happen? Where can I multiply two things together, two factors together, and get 0? Well, one of those factors has to be 0, or both of them could be 0. So in this case, you say x minus 2 is equal to 0, or x minus 4 is equal to 0. Okay, where is x minus 2 equal to 0? Well, if I add 2, x is going to be positive 2. Same thing over here, x is going to be positive 4. Like I said, opposite of the signs of our factors. So I'll plot those two x-intercepts. Okay. Now what we need to know and realize is that our axis of symmetry is going to be directly in the middle of our 2 points on any horizontal line. So on our x-intercept, we have 3 directly in the middle. So right away, now we know where our axis of symmetry is going to be, and that's going to be where x is equal to 3. Okay, so what we can do is start working with that. All right, we know where our axis of symmetry is. Okay, next thing I want to know is where's my vertex. So what we can do is plug in 3 and see what y would equal. Okay, so let's do f of 3, and I'll plug that into our standard equation, which, or actually I'll plug that into our factored equation, which was f of x equals x minus 2 times x minus 4. Okay, so what we would have is 3 minus 2 times 3 minus 4, which would be 1 times negative 1. In this case, f of 3 is negative 1. So we just found the point for our vertex, which is 3, negative 1. Okay, so that point would be right here, 3, negative 1. Okay, from here, we can do a couple things. We know our y-intercept is going to be 8, because f of 0 is going to get us 8. So where x is 0, our y would be 8. So our y-intercept, our y-intercept is going to be 0, 8. Again, in standard form, it should be very easy to find. There's going to be our y-intercept. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in 5 and 1, okay, because we're going to go one more unit um, to the right of 4, see where that point would lie. So we'll do f of 5 is going to be 5 minus 2, quantity times 5 minus 4. That's going to be 3 times 1, which is going to be 3. F of 5 is equal to 3. So we found another point. Okay, 5, 3 would be right here. Now again, we can use our axis of symmetry to find the point to the left of that line, of the left of the axis of symmetry as well. So if we got 5, 3, that's exactly 2 points away from the axis of symmetry. So we can go 2 points to the left of the axis of symmetry and use that point right there, which is 1, 3. You can use algebra to check that if you want. Okay, but again, using the properties of the axis of symmetry, you would know that that point 1, 3 works, again, because it is exactly 2 units away from the axis of symmetry. Okay, so we've factored this equation. We've plugged in points. Basically that's all we were doing after we factored it. We plotted 2 points on the x-axis, and we plugged in and found the axis of symmetry. After that, we just plugged in and found a couple other points. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that graph up there. Okay, I'm going to leave that graph up there, and we're going to use the quadratic formula to find our zeros. In this case, this problem was real easy to work with because it could be factored. So I'm just going to prove that the points 2, 0 and 4, 0 are right using the quadratic formula. And again, that's usually a problem for some people. So this is something that's going to take a lot of practice. So the quadratic formula is b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay. Now in this case, you must know what a, b, and c are. A is 1, b is negative 6, and c is positive 8. Okay. From here, it's basically just plugging in and doing things real carefully, making sure not to make a mistake. If someone makes a mistake with this formula, it's usually because they miss a negative sign or do a silly step incorrectly. So like I said, it takes a lot of practice. So I'm just going to plug in for what I know. Negative b, which is already negative 6, plus or minus the square root of negative 6 squared minus 4 times a is 1 and c is 8. Okay, all over 2 times 1. Okay, now like I said, the places where people usually have trouble with is the part right here inside, okay, working with the square root, and more specifically working with b squared minus 4ac, which is known as the discriminant. So we'll do that step real carefully. I'll do that down here to make sure we get everything correct. Negative 6 squared is 36 minus 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 8 is 32. Okay, so we get 36 minus 32 means we got the square root of 4, which is the same thing as 2. Okay, so what do we got? I'm going to take care of this now. That's going to be positive 6. So we have 6 plus or minus 2 all over 2. Okay, what does that mean? Well, this means basically we have 2 points where x is equal to 0. Okay, and they will be 6 plus 2 over 2 and 6 minus 2 over 2. Okay, 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 6 minus 2 is 4. Over 2 is 2, which is our zeros. Okay, right there. Okay, so using the quadratic formula is nice if a problem cannot be factored. If the problem could be factored, I would recommend going that way first. Um, Otherwise, the quadratic formula is a nice way to check your work. So, thanks for tuning in.